Hello, my fellow subscribers. This is the first time I'll be talking in a video that I made, so let's get into this. So, the first thing that we're gonna want to do to make this bar graph and graph is click File, or just New over here. They're both the same thing. And you're gonna want to click New. Now, you might want to add all the settings that I have here into your own. But this is your choice. Okay, next I'm going to click Start Composing. Now, I'm going to add a plane, which you can also press Control Alt A. Now the default color will be set to white, which is exactly what we're going to be using. To change it, you just need to click this white sheet here, and it'll open up a bunch of colors. Okay. Now, I'm gonna add something like a text wall, because I'm gonna be using text to make a wall. So, what I'm gonna do to do this is I'm gonna add this. Oh, I made a mistake. I can't see this because I forgot to change the color of my text. For default, it'll already be set to white. If you picked the color white too, then you're gonna want to change it to a color that you can see. To make this video easier, I'll be choosing black. Now, as you can see, you can see this black line now. So I'm just gonna make it as big as I want it, and I'll add it just right here. So next, I'm gonna be doing the exact same thing on the top. Even though this is something that you can do, you might be able to find a better way. I was not able to. It's a slow process, but eventually you will come up with something that looks nice and neat to you. And then I'll just put this. And I'm gonna make this part bigger, but it's completely depends up to you. To make this part bigger, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to click down here. The default is set to 48. I'm gonna change this to 100. No, it's bigger. Well, everything that I do left in the video is mostly kind of the same as this, so I'll be speeding up this process. I paused till this little part of the video because I wanted to show you that these lines are smaller and these lines are bigger. The reason for this is because it does not reset to the default 48. Once you set this, it changes. So if you want to make it smaller, back to this size, you're gonna want to just do this to revert it back to the same size. But if you already typed the text wall like I did, you're gonna want to select the whole thing by clicking Control A, or you're gonna want to hold the left mouse button and drag it to the left. Now is when we're gonna adjust it back to 48. Well, this is how you make your standard graph. Obviously, yours might not look like mine, but this is the basic graph. Okay, moving on to how to make a bar graph. So, this will be the second part of the video. As you can see, I kept the same stuff because there's no reason to change any of this. Unless, for the best quality, you can also set this to 1920 by 1080, which I figured out a little bit later. So same thing as before, I'm going to press Start Composing. So now, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to create another plane that is white. And now I'm gonna click this eyeball thing that is open currently, and when I click it, it's gonna click close. And I'm gonna create another plane that will be blue, because that is the color that I will use to make this video a little bit easier. It's one of the basic standard colors. So now you can resize it to how large and wide you think that you want your line to be. So right now I'm gonna put it like this, because this is how high it went. And don't worry, if you messed up, you're not gonna have to create another plane and keep doing this every time until you get it correct. All you're gonna have to do, actually I'll show you that later. So now I'm gonna bring this back up, and I'm gonna put it, oh actually make sure you click this, otherwise you might have some problems. And as you look here, currently the white plane is selected. We're just gonna want to change that, otherwise that might be a little bit bad. So as you see, it only lifts up the blue, not the white. So I'm going to create a text wall like I did in the previous part. And of course, this doesn't matter either. You can just select the text option and also just drag this out. Okay, so now I'm going to create more like a text line, and we're actually going to be using this in the focused area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same thing. I'm just going to drag this out, and I'm going to make it similar to a text wall. Of course, you could have this, you don't have to, but this is how I'm going to be representing where where it's gonna be like my heights and stuff. So this is what I'm gonna be using for right now, just to make it a little bit easier. This one, it's not gonna be a text wall, it's just gonna be a number. So first I'm gonna put 0, because that's gonna be what the bottom is. And then put it right next to here. Then this one's gonna be a 100 for me. Of course, this might not be in yours. It might not be in your bar graph. This is just what I'm making. This is gonna be a 200. Okay. So now I'm gonna make a title, and then I'll make another red. I'm gonna make the opposite of blue, at least to my opinion, red. So I'm gonna name this distances in cm, which is actually something I did not too long ago. I'm just gonna go to property, then I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger. There, that'll do. So I'm also gonna create a title on the side. Actually, I made sort of a mistake. This is not gonna represent anything. This was actually supposed to go right here. Now for this, you can do the same thing that I was doing for the text wall. You can rotate it just by holding down the square and moving it down. Then I'll just use the green arrow to adjust fine, and then I'm going to use the red arrow, which only allows it to move down and up. So now I'm going to erase this. Actually, no. You do not have to do that. All you have to do is just make another plane that I will be using as red. So now there's this big red kind of like rectangle. This is not what I want. So same thing that I did with the blue. I'm gonna get a rectangular mask, and I'm just gonna hold right here and drag it out. Now say it's too big. I will not have to make another plane. All I have to do is get the masking tool. So now you're gonna keep it on the rectangular mask, and you're gonna make sure that the red, well, as it says here, the new plane is selected. And I'm gonna wanna maybe go a little bit higher. It's like here. And make sure you drag it like this all the way down to the bottom. Now as you see, this only made it bigger. It's because we did not change this to subtract. If you do this, it subtracts from the mask that was previously created, and it'll make it tinier. Now you can adjust it so it is like completely perfect with it. If you want to make your project perfect. But for me, I really don't care. So now I'm going to create a little legend on the side, and I'm just going to speed it up to make it a little easier. Now, as you see here, I do not have enough space. Even if I zoom out, it's not gonna expand this. This was already set when we set this. So I'm just gonna shrink this text wall, well, line, a little bit. That way it does not intersect with my legend. As you see here, I'm clicking on it, it's not working. That's because it was filled up by the red plane and the blue plane. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cycle through these and try to find it. See? I already found it. So now I'll just resize this by just selecting the text button and then holding backspace. This may be different depending on your keyboard. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another blue plane and a red plane once again, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna use the mask tool and I'm gonna bring it into a little square. Like this. So as you see here, usually this wouldn't happen. Usually just go like this or something. But what I was doing is I was holding shift, and that makes it a complete square. And it doesn't make it all deformed and stuff. So I'm gonna resize it to how much I want it to, and then I'm just gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna drag it. So now I'm gonna create a little thing, the little text that represents what this is showing. So say this is showing how far my paper airplane went. I'm gonna put this as a wide paper airplane. So I drag this here, it doesn't fit. Now we can either drag these lines out, or we can just make it so this goes down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna press the text button, and we're gonna click exactly right next to this R here, and then we're gonna press enter. What that's gonna do is it's gonna bring it down by one line, and as you see now, it all fits. So same thing that I did with the red, I'm gonna make another blue plane, and I'm gonna resize it same as I did with the red. Now, as the previous way I did this, I could just click and hold shift and drag out, and I made this too big. So what I'm gonna do, which I can do, I don't have to do, it might make a difference in your project, it might not. this square is pretty huge. I don't know if you would want to really try to fix this. You might just want to get a new plane, and that might be easier for you. That's what I'm gonna do. So, the way to undo is you either press Control Z, or you can just go up here and click this button. To me, using Control Z is much easier. Say I didn't want that gone. If I press Control Y, that would redo that. So now I set the number of undos to unlimited, which you can do in the settings. So now I'm just gonna delete this mask, which is on this blue plane. So now I'm just gonna undo this mask on this blue plane. As you see, it resized it to the full thing. Oh, apparently I ran into a problem. It's not letting me select this because I need to click here, and now I can touch it. So this, which I did on my science project once, will be a narrow airplane. Now as you see here, if I try to click, oops, that's not what I meant to do. If I click somewhat like here, it's gonna select this line of text. If this ever happens and you run out of spaces, then what I do is I just go out here, I click and hold and drag, and then now I can create a new space uninterrupted. You can zoom out until it goes to 10.0%. That is the maximum. If you want to zoom back in to the size of the to the size of the white plane, you can just click here and you can press scale to fit. As you can see, that resized it. So now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to bring this forward, and as I already said, I'm going to call this narrow paper airplane. Same thing as we did before. I'm going to go right next to the W, and I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go right next to the R, and I'm going to press enter once again. Now I'm just going to go back to the arrow, and I can't go any farther than this. We're going to need to zoom out, and then just bring it a little bit farther. So you can also do this to move along without touching anything else, which what I did with just right mouse button. Again, I'm going to press scale to fit, and now it's fine. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like the video. Peace out.